Hi everybody, it's Shanna with Shanna's Sweets. Thank you for joining me here. I'm a Kansas demonstrator and I want to bring to you this nice thank you card that I made featuring some fall product. I'm featuring the $1 Million stamp set, Life is Beautiful. I won this stamp set at a local stamping event and I think it is gorgeous. It was on my list to get. I just hadn't gotten it yet and I'm so grateful to have it. It is got this beautiful tree branch with some leaves, a house, some beautiful sentiments, and you can have snowflakes or you can have these beautiful dots to make a background. So I really love this paper that is the Gilded Autumn DSP, and look at these beautiful acorns and leaves falling, but I really wanted the tree also, so I don't know if you can see it. I've put it on some vellum so that I can have my tree plus that background paper. And when I was cutting it out, the back of this paper is this beautiful specialty paper, and I had just enough strip that I could make 2 cards featuring the background of that paper. So it was from a 6x6 sheet, and so it was perfect. I love it. So let's get to it, and I'm going to show you how I did this card. Now, the key to doing this, stamping on vellum, is to use my heat tool and let it dry. So let's start with the early espresso stamping first. And we're going to, I used vellum and I cut out with my stitched rectangle. And I did have to use the largest block for my tree because it is a very large stamp. And be careful when you're inking it because you can get ink all along the perimeter of your tree, you know, like the edges, and you don't want that to stamp on your vellum, so you have to be really careful. I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath because I'm going to go off the edge a little bit. So I'm going to go down and off the edge a little because I'm not doing the whole tree. This is very large, and if you're doing it on a card front, it would take up like the whole 4 inch. It's like 4 inches across. It really showcases the tree, and I'm giving it a really good oomph because it is a photopolymer and it's big and it's going to stick. So I just want to gingerly pull that off, and I'm going to set that aside along with my stamp so that I don't get ink all over it. And while I have my early espresso out, I have a tiny stitched rectangle I'm going to use and a piece of scratch. So I'm going to cut my house right there, keep my house out because I'm going to use that again, and then I'm going to do thank you right here in the middle. I'm going to set my early espresso aside because we're still going to use that. While I have this thank you out, I'm going to go ahead, take my dual banner punch, and I'm going to go ahead and punch out the edges. And you just kind of have to get to where you want it on here. So that's good. Now this little guy, I'm going to just trim out the house. Being very careful of the little whatever rooftop thing there. So going back to my vellum piece, I want to make sure this is good and dry, so I'm just going to take my heat tool and give it a zap. Put my scratch paper. These little dimensionals get everywhere. Okay, so now I have the leaves. I think I'm going to start with my Cajun Craze. And I'm going to I'm not really paying attention to the branches because I really want a full tree. So I need my little cleaner here because I'm going to use this quite a bit. And then I've got mint macaroon because that's part of the colors from the paper. So let's dry this. So just make sure it's not shiny, and that's when you know it's not wet. And I don't want the leaves right on top of the other leaves completely, so I'm trying to pick different spots. This would be really pretty on some white paper too, if you didn't want it against, or the vanilla by itself. Now I'm using crumb cake. I'm going to go one more time with the crumb cake just because I want some over there. Now here's where I'm going to take my house again. Make sure I got my early espresso. And I'm going to attach it to the bottom leaf, excuse me. Okay. Let me dry that. So I got to turn this vellum over, so make sure you're good and dry. And I'm going to place glue dots underneath the ink. So you want your glue dots to be on ink space, so that way you don't see them. If you feel like, it's just up to you how, I kind of wanted it poofed up in spots, so. Alright, I'm going to set this aside for a minute while I put my card together. So I have a piece of early espresso, 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to fold that in half. And on the inside is going to go a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. And on the outside we have a piece of Cajun craze, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then our piece of DSP, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So we have some nice little borders. Then we're going to lay down our vellum piece, and I'm laying it more on the left side of the paper. And take my bone folder so I'm not touching that ink, just in case it wasn't dry very good. Now I want to see where my dots are at, okay, because that's where I'm going to put my strip. I have a piece of very vanilla that is 1 1/8 by the 5 3/8. Then this DSP is 4. Oh, there's some diagonal there. I want it to go upward. Then I'm going to take our sentiment and place it in the middle. All right, our house wants to get away from me. And then our house is going to go right over the house right there. And I decided to add just a little bit of Stella to give it a little bit of shine. And I even took a little strip there just to accent that. And that is our card. Isn't it super adorable? And I just love the way the leaves look like more leaves falling off the tree on that DSP. I hope you enjoyed this card, and I hope you take advantage of the stamping on vellum. You really can stamp on vellum. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe my videos, and my blog has a chance for you to win a monthly prize. Thank you so much.